Back to the NFL, where the franchise tag window opens up tomorrow, and it reminds us that the NFL season never sleeps. Teams can designate the tags to further ensure a player remains on the roster for the upcoming campaign. Let's start with the Steelers, who have a decision to make at quarterback. They started the year with Justin Fields, then made the switch to Russell Wilson before another early playoff exit. Danger Rush, by the way, will turn 37 during the next NFL season. Aaron Rodgers still technically a Jet, and there's a report out there that he says he's the one who didn't want to say goodbye. The New York Post adding the 41-year-old's plea to stay with the team fell on deaf ears as they moved on in a new direction with new management and a new head coach. Two topics, two teams, and we have the Jets and Steelers fully represented here on HQ. Douzable and Bryant McFadden. Douz, I'm going to start with you first here because there's all this talk. I had it here, the report saying Rodgers aggressively urged New York to keep him for 1 or 2 more years. Then he went to his dark place, and then he's got to have to reset here. So what are the options for the Jets moving forward?
Yeah, Tom, I'm going to give you 3 options. My top option right now would be Tyrod Taylor. He's a guy that's been a consummate pro. He's a great bridge quarterback. Those are my top 3 options. You see Justin Fields, number 2, Jackson Dart at 3. But getting back to Tyrod Taylor, he's done it before, Tommy and B-Mac. Let's go back to when he was the Chargers quarterback, right? He helped groom a young Justin Herbert. Also, when he was with the Cleveland Browns, he helped groom a young Baker Mayfield. Well, both of those quarterbacks are having success right now. So when you talk about a bridge quarterback that's currently under contract, I think the most important thing, you saw it right there, Garrett Wilson has a nice rapport with him. I remember going to the crossover practice with the Washington Commanders, and he had a nice rapport with Garrett Wilson because Aaron Rodgers didn't practice that day. They're getting blown out in the Buffalo game. Again, touchdown pass in the red zone to Garrett Wilson. This is my 3rd option right here, Jackson Dart. Now, this guy may need a little bit of time, but B-Mac and Tommy, he has all the tools, right? He's one of the toughest competitors I've seen in this draft class. He stares down the barrel of linebackers blitzing multiple times and throws absolute darts to his receivers. Now, he's going to need some help in regards to processing because he processes extremely slow, but that is typical for rookie quarterbacks. But he has a great skill set that if a guy like Tyrod Taylor is there, he could probably develop and mold behind him. And my number 2 option was Justin Fields. I know B-Mac probably doesn't want to hear that because he probably wants the Steelers to keep them. But Justin Fields, with his athletic ability and also rapport previously with Garrett Wilson at Ohio State, makes a lot of sense to the Jets as well.
I definitely love the top 2 options for the Jets, Leger. And the thing about the Jets, they're in a very, very difficult situation because, of course, separating from Aaron Rodgers, it requires the team to eat a lot of dead money. And with that dead money, you can't use it to improve the quarterback situation. So anointing Tyrod Taylor is probably the best feasible option because of all the money you have to eat with cutting ties with Aaron Rodgers. And then you look at Justin Fields. Of course, you know how I feel about Justin Fields. He's a guy that has a high ceiling. He's still extremely young in his professional career. And the thing that he lacks so far, especially during his time with Chicago, was structure. And Jackson Dart has really moved up the draft boards as of late. I have my reservations about Jackson Dart, but I'll throw another name out there to you, Leger, instead of Jackson Dart's name. What about Jordan Travis? Because if Jordan Travis wasn't injured throughout his last season there at Florida State, number 1, he would have gotten the invitation to the Heisman Award. Number 2, he would have been drafted earlier than where he got drafted at because of the injury. And you talk about processing, when you look at his maturation process of being able to understand and dissect defenses, he has it right now. It's all about the health. So if he is healthy, he is a guy that has the skill set, he has the ability, and he understands defenses to a level that can really showcase what he can do for the Jets organization.
Leave it to the Florida State guy to bump the Florida State guy. I love that here. All right, B-Mac, let me throw it right back at you. What the Steelers are going to do, you mentioned a little bit about Justin Fields. Again, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. The interesting thing here is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I just don't know if we're any closer after 1 year of figuring things out on who the quarterback should be.
Yeah, and the thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers, because of the success they had a year ago, they're not in position to really move or utilize capital, draft capital, to be high enough to draft one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks that we view as the best of the group. So for me, my top 3 options, as you see it there, number 1, Justin Fields, only 25 years old, guys. I mean, come on, man. He hasn't really scratched the surface of how good he could be, and he adds a playmaker to an offense that lacks playmaking with his athleticism. If you can't get Justin Fields, of course, trying to find a way to retain Russell Wilson would be the second best option. And then the last option would be Aaron Rodgers. We all know about the football crush that Mike Tomlin has had on Aaron Rodgers throughout his professional career as a head coach, and watching Aaron Rodgers on the opposite end of the football field whenever he played against Aaron Rodgers. The unique thing about Aaron Rodgers is that you don't have to go out and give him a lot of money, because he's getting the Jets are handling most of that. So you can get Aaron Rodgers at a feasible deal, but he is the last resort for me. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm pushing everything in the middle of the table to try to go get that 25-year-old athletic, mobile, gifted quarterback to be able to fit right back into your organization, a guy who's shown the ability to be successful. Remember Tommy Leger, he was 4-2 in that 6-game stretch, and just build around him instead of trying to hand the keys back off to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, B-Mac, I like that third option. That was my dark horse for the Steelers going back to Super Bowl week when they asked, who do you think will be the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And you kind of laid it out perfectly. There's been an affinity between Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers for years. So Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to end his career only winning 5 games. Essentially, you heard Tommy in the reports, he got pushed out of New York. So I think going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are synonymous with championships, makes a lot of sense for Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.